Good evening, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I want to weigh in on the idea of burqa, or the face covering that you see in Muslim culture, certain Muslim cultures in the Middle East and beyond. And there's an ongoing debate and a misunderstanding, I think, culturally from outside the culture, where people are viewing this as an abuse of women, which it may be. That's a legitimate question, and I want to explore this really quick. Of course, some of these women in the culture stand by the practice. They say it makes sense to them, and when questioned, like I just saw a video, I will try to link it in the description below, a woman with a burqa is being interrogated as to why she feels she needs to cover her face, and some questions are directed to why she feels that men shouldn't have to, and they seem to take this video, this short snippet of the video, out of context, and they cut her off before she can really elaborate on why she thinks it's important. And what it comes down to is she didn't necessarily have the answer on the tip of her tongue, but that doesn't mean there is no answer. So one possible answer is that men and women traditionally in the human species bring different packages to the bargaining table. Maybe this is obvious. It might be a point of contention for people who refuse to differentiate between genders, which has become fashionable lately, but men and women are different, okay? They are obviously different. Men don't get pregnant, among other things. Women tend to bring a higher aesthetically oriented package to the bargaining table, and this is obvious. It's not debatable. It's just how human beings work. And in other species, some bird species, for example, the roles are reversed. The male birds can be extremely, flamboyantly colored, while the females are subdued and almost invisible for survival reasons. Again, it just depends. But men and women are different. Males and females aren't the same. They're not supposed to be the same. They've never been the same in species because it wouldn't work. And that's, a point of departure to a different subject for the problems that humankind is facing right now, not to judge individuals, but our species is having a lot of problems right now with longevity and sustainability without the need for laboratories, but I digress. So anyway, back to the subject. Wearing a face covering is culturally accepted and allowed by certain people, obviously, because they do it. They stand by it, they understand the logic of it, and just because a particular person can't explain it fully, it doesn't mean that there is no logic to it. And I'm not even advocating for it. I'm not saying that everybody should abide by that culture, not at all. I'm saying that their arguments make sense, and their solution sometimes makes sense when it's respectful and rooted in love and stability for their families and their community, which arguably it is, because some of them seem to get along pretty well. I don't speak from personal experience. I just know that I've heard enough women who wear these coverings, they swear by them. And yes, some of it is programmed. Some of it is a matter of obedience that they've been trained from birth to have towards the culture and the males in their culture, which clashes with American culture and Western culture, European culture, developed nations, progressive nations, where women are thought to be equal. Okay, yes, equal opportunity. I'll give you that. Women should always have equal opportunity. Every single human being should have equal opportunity. But equal? We're not the same. We don't have the same capacities. We're not born with the same backgrounds or strengths or aptitudes or, reproductive capabilities. We're not born with, men, for example, have an ability to work 100% of the time while the woman is pregnant. And again, the man doesn't get pregnant. I want to be clear about that. I don't mean to be rude, but some people still seem to be confused. The man does not get pregnant, which is kind of like a big deal. It's a big deal because the woman has a disproportionately higher risk and a disproportionately higher downtime when she gets pregnant. Not just for the 9 months of it, but moving forward after that. The baby doesn't just pop out and get an apartment. It needs the woman to raise it, and the man, presumably, but that's another departure. I don't mean to dive deep into nuclear family structure and what works best, but my point is that culturally, there are a lot of points to be made, and just because people are different doesn't make them wrong. Just because something looks different doesn't mean that it's unhealthy or unsupportable, and that might be a good reason to question our culture. What are we sacrificing by assuming that we are correct in everything? Another departure. There are a lot of tangents in this video, but by assuming that our culture is superior, just because it's what's familiar, it's what we learned growing up, it's what our grandparents taught us and our parents taught us, doesn't mean that it's necessarily superior. Consider that a lot of these cultures from the Middle East, for example, they don't have access to the same facilities and technology and support that a lot of us take for granted. That means that they have some closer to the earth type solutions, such as to avoid problems with coveting thy neighbor. Now, if you are religious, if you are a Christian, you've heard of the commandments that do not covet thy neighbor's wife. You know about the problems that historically have plagued mankind and continue to plague mankind. Okay, let's be honest. We haven't gotten rid of all these issues yet, even in this part of the world, with our so-called advancement, with our so-called sophistication, and our absence of clothing. There are still temptations, there are still transgressions, there are still hostilities. There is a massive problem with substance abuse and human abuse. And if you think that we have it all figured out, maybe worry about what's local. They say, think globally but act locally. I think that's great advice. Before we go judging other cultures and getting all worked up about, women who don't necessarily need or want your help just because you feel like they're being mistreated, maybe you should work on your own community first. Get it all sorted out. And when you are 100%, when your own community is 100%, let's talk about some missions at that point. Let's talk about trying to spread the gospel of what's proper once we figure it out. Make sense? All right. Reach out with questions or comments down below. And maybe we check out that video in the description. Thank you.